We're going to start off with Trevor Mann, a.k.a. Ricochet, who met his demise on tonight's episode of Raw. And do you feel...
He is alive. They did not kill him off. We saw the thumbs up. The state of his internal injuries, we don't know. But last we saw him on camera, the man was conscious and alive.
Here is the question posed to Wei Ting. Where was that ambulance taking Ricochet to?
Oh, okay. Does he have a non-compete?
Contract's up, and that would mean
he'd show up as soon as Wednesday.
No compete.
He could show up as soon as Wednesday, you're saying?
If we don't know exactly when the deal is up, but when a deal is up, there is no 90-day no compete attached to that. That's when the company makes the decision to cut you. So once that deal is up, in theory, he would be ready to go instantaneously whenever that deal expires.
Yeah, I think he's AEW bound personally, and I think that means if you're AEW bound, you're likely AEW and New Japan bound, and that probably means Forbidden Door would be a perfect place for him to show up.
Yeah, I think first of all, it was Fightful and PW Insider that had reported this over the weekend, that it looked as though he was looking to be exiting, and then PW Insider with the update that tonight was designed to be his final night with the company. There were no plans beyond tonight for Ricochet. Of course, if some deal last minute comes together, I guess there's always a shred of possibility, but the way things have been planned out, you would think that this is probably a swan song for WWE. And for him, like, this is probably a very important time in his career with this deal coming due. Number one, he's 35 years old, so by no means is he on the back end of his career, but you want to be looking at these, for his style especially, that, you want to be, he was going to get great offers no matter where we went. But I would be curious of how he viewed Will Ospreay's moves, not just over the past couple of months, but over these last number of years, where he has to have been looking at the idea that, here he is in WWE, very well compensated and in a good position, but never in a key position in the company, and having to look at, like, this guy to me is a generational performer when it comes to what this guy can do athletically, that few, if any, can match him. And I think that he's probably looking at the fact that, man, I could make a ton of money and be regarded as one of the best wrestlers in the world, which I don't know if Ricochet's name comes up in that, but I'm sure that the money is going to be comparable wherever he decides. There's not really a bad option for him financially. New Japan's interesting because they're not in a great state at the moment when it comes to foreigners coming in, but certainly if they can make that work, AEW can carve that out for him and be another outlet for him.
Yeah, I imagine somebody like him to get the sort of John Moxley hall pass, I guess at this point, who else kind of has that, enjoys that sort of freedom? Bryan Danielson, he's somebody that I think will be in demand with that entire network of places. Yeah, I'm actually pretty surprised and somewhat impressed by a move like this, because I could have seen him being a Dolph Ziggler type, the type that just kind of rides this whole thing out until they get rid of him. I'm happy to just, sit in catering and collect that paycheck, work your speed matches, work your main event matches, what have you. His stock had been improving in recent weeks, but I really do feel like the damage has been done through years of, like, this guy being portrayed as just happy to be there. He's a guy who's just kind of like a perennial mid-carder, and I think any serious attempts to push him into a main event spot, might have been met with, like, some anticipation just for the quality of match, but I don't think anybody was ever going to take him seriously as a title contender without a lot of work put in. And the question for him is WWE willing to put that work in? I mean, yeah, I don't know what they are promising him, what they're offering him to try to get him to stay, but I really do admire that he's willing to kind of step out of this comfort zone and enter a relative unknown. This contract at 35 should be the most lucrative contract of his career, of course, but also it's the point in his life where he can guarantee that he might still be able to work the style and, like, be Ricochet Ricochet, depending on the length of the contract, like even if he's like 38 or like even if you're 40, like trust me, your body will slow down whether or not you're as athletically gifted as a Trevor man. So I'm very excited, because a move like this suggests to me that he is very motivated to show off what he could still do.
He greatly benefits from having a strong alternative and one that, the timing is great for a talent that you can bring in and can be an immediate player in AEW. They have a ton of depth. There is going to be, of course, that risk of anyone coming in but he's going to be coming in at such a value, and I think there's going to be such a demand to see Ricochet outside of WWE that I think he's going to have a really great chance to shine, and he's so attached to the hottest guy in the company in Will Ospreay that is certainly a match you could do on any stage.
But it's far from a sure thing. Whenever we talk about a new talent entering AEW, we have to bring up the topic of how much space does AEW have, not just to spend money on a guy like a Ricochet, but the airtime and the creative storytelling time, energy to devote to making a Ricochet. Now the path to him is relatively more straightforward. You just promote this guy as like an incredible in-ring performer, and I think in AEW that's worth a whole lot more than really any other promotion. But still, you kind of need that extra level to get to a really high status. And what's his promo like these days? I think I've seen a lot of improvement, especially
he's improved.
In his current
he's improved
form.
A lot.
Yeah, but AEW is where I think he's going to have to show, like a Will Ospreay, that maybe he has a different level within him that we haven't seen yet.
Well, Ricochet is helping his pal Ilya to the back when Braun attacks Ilya again. So Ricochet starts attacking Braun, and they head out to the parking lot where nothing good ever happens to a babyface. And Ricochet is sent into a production truck, and then in their Who Killed WCW moment, Ricochet takes a lawn dart into the production truck. I'm sure not by mistake. Seemed like his peace out to Rey Mysterio. And then Braun takes him up these steps and power slams him through a windshield. And we come back from commercial, and they've got the reaction shot of Samantha Irvin inside the arena watching this happen. As they note, that's Ricochet's fiance. And Samantha Irvin might have been the best performer on this entire show, as she is then out by the ambulance after the break. She is in tears as Ricochet is taken out in the stretcher, and Samantha's yelling, "I want to go with him." And this emotional farewell, potentially forever, of Ricochet leaving with his fiance to the ambulance. Off into the distance, we have Michael Cole in his somber tone, trying to convey the seriousness and finding the words for a grieving audience at home, says, "I know our social media team will be all over this." Thank God.
Is that silly? I mean, how else would you update people, after you're off air?
Well, good to know. Good to know. Social's on top of this. So there you go. That was our angle. That presumably the end of Ricochet.
A very impressive angle. I mean, shit, like this body slam on the hood of a car. Yes, probably not real glass, but still probably a real hood at least, and that can't feel very good. Okay, I don't think
real hood. Cry me a river.
That's right. Yeah, he went out with like I hope he's okay after this. Honestly, like it didn't look great, but we did get the thumbs up. So I guess in storyline, Ricochet is alive.
Something tells me he'll just be fine.
Is he brain dead in storyline? Like, how are they going to explain his lack of return?
Imagine they came back the next week and just explained before break Ricochet didn't make it.
That'd be awful. It'd be really distasteful. But yeah, I'm sure they'll they'll explain somehow. But hey, man,
I want to apologize. I would never want to besmirch WWE. They would never do something that would question good taste. Okay,
how dare you?
I don't want people to.
Samantha Irvin, like, listen,
she was amazing. I thought she really made this angle to me.
Totally, they never really kind of like.
And now for the future, like Ricochet might be gone, but she's always now going to have this thing about like she has to announce Braun Breakker, and there will always be like this weird like dynamic that this is the guy that like killed off your fiance. And I just thought she was excellent in terms of like just her reaction to this that they had her on camera for, and then the ambulance stuff. And then, oh my God, she was so good in this role that I dealt with Pat McAfee having to do commentary. If ever there was confirmation that her job is extremely secure, it was this, which I guess you got your kick out of Pat McAfee trying his hand, and this is not that easy of a gig.
For one match in the main event, I thought McAfee was funny, and he did a fun job here.